those three action items Dr. Conway has us take. Are there other items like that that we'd like to pursue so that we can get more information for our follow-up meetings, the school district?
For Dr. Conway, were there other issues in any of the elementary schools having to do with the fiscal plans for the addition of all-day kindergarten?
Not that I was informed about. There are many kindergartners that have their own toilet area, their own bathrooms. That's not required. So it's something that's nice. But if the board chose to retrofit rooms, we could certainly put those kinds of things in. But they are not required. So I know that there might be some parents, and I don't know if that's the the genesis of your question, but that's something that parents do ask: is how far do they have to go, and can't they just use one in the room?
No, it's purely for budgetary purposes.
Yeah.
If there was anything else having to do with all-day kindergarten that we needed to fold in.
No, just the furniture.
Well, if we freed up space by moving the fifth grade out.
It's different size furniture, right?
It's very different.
For the kindergartners, they have to get special size furniture. Ms. Fisher?
Of course, if you move fifth grade up to sixth, my suggestion here is not going to work, I wouldn't think. But with our lower numbers in the middle school and the high school at this point in time, would it be possible to reduce one assistant principal and have someone be half-time at the high school and half-time at the middle school?
I'm sure I could answer that. Mr. Boehm and Mr. Kane might be interested in answering that. I think our population right now is a population that we're changing the culture in both of those schools. It's not there yet. I know that both assistant principals at both schools are very, very busy. Some are proactive, some of them are able to do some of that work. Unfortunately, a lot of it is reactive work. If you saw what came across my desk every other day, you would probably say no. That's really where I am right now. But I'll ask them to think about that and bring it back if you would like.
Yeah, the adjustments to administration that you may recommend. Ms. Bush?
One of the areas Mr. Kemp did not see or talk about in Center Road School is the current third grade going to fourth grade that has 90 students and 5 classes, where the second grade has 91 students and 4 classes. So that could be a reduction of 1 teacher as well, unless that has really happened in next year's budget.
Other discussion, questions? Mr. Percy?
Thank you. I think what the superintendent brought back to us is a very large percentage of a number. I don't know how other board members are feeling, but when we put together, or we changed, or we got rid of that assumption and priorities document, and we gave the superintendent a direction to go, we all knew that we weren't going to get it all. But we did ask her to put it in this budget so this board and the public could see what it really costs. But I think we as a board need to choose. Yeah, I don't think you can have everything, obviously. And I don't know how people are leaning here. Whether it's all-day kindergarten or, because we haven't even spoken much about the extended day or extended year stuff. So I don't know what everyone else is thinking, but I'm thinking something needs to be taken out for now.
Ms. Fisher?
My thoughts on that are because the extended day or extended, an extra day at the end of the year is something we have to negotiate with the teachers, and we'll be negotiating this summer, that my priority would be to take that out and work on full-day kindergarten.
I'm in agreement.
Other discussion on that topic? Mr. Nicholson?
I'm in agreement with it as well. The 15.65% is just something that is pie in the sky, wonderful. There's a wish list, but it's not going to happen. If you go back to the prior suggestion of 7.69%, again, that's not tied to any reality of our current economic crisis or situation. Everybody that has a job just had a 2% increase in their tax starting this month. We just came off the largest tax increase in Connecticut history. There's talk of more taxes. We need to do our job to educate the kids, but with the reality that the people that are paying for this don't have disposable money. They're probably going to wind up with thousands of dollars less in their budgets over the next year than they had last year, and last year was a fight to get 2%. Looking for 15 is purely a dream, and 7 is still going to be a nut starter. We need to really look at our obligations. For contracts, it's over 2.2, almost $2.3 million right there. So we have big expenses that we have no ability to do anything about. So we need to be realistic and realize that the people in this town, there's not a lot of free money floating around. And it would be nice to have these services, but there's no money to pay for it.
Ms. Sargent.
I think realistic also includes looking at the past Board of Ed budgets and how well funded they've been after we meet all of our obligations. And it's my opinion that we haven't spent enough on other areas, that I think it's catching up with us, catching up with our results. And so although I agree with your position about the 15%, and I do agree that it makes sense to be serious about all day kindergarten as opposed to extending the school year, I think we can't continue to only meet our contractual obligations, because I think that it shows up in the students that we're turning out. Could I ask a question, or are we still?
Go ahead, you had the floor still. I just wasn't sure if you wanted us to finish this conversation first. Mr. Person.
I agree with Ms. Arndt. You look at the past 4 years, just adding the percentages up, you're at 1.3% over the past 4 years. And why I wanted to question the 10-11 budget of 3.76, it was all medical insurance. I understand what you're saying, Mr. Nicholson, and I get it, but we're sacrificing our school now too for the past 4 years. We're not funding it appropriately, just like the State Department of Education and the government of Connecticut doesn't fund us properly with our ECS money. So our schools are in trouble. We need to help them, and we're not helping them by a 1.3 average over 4 years. Thank you.
Anybody else want to weigh in? Ms. Bush.
I'm in agreement with really focusing on the full day kindergarten and finding a way to make it work the best it can. And I'm definitely in agreement that the extended day or the extended school year be looked at in the future, because it is very beneficial for our students, but agreement, over 15% increase is unreasonable. You know, like I've said before, and how Mr. Nicholson has said, we've got to be very reasonable with the taxes, because our community is, and everyone is getting hit from federal, state, and our local taxes. So we need to really look at things. But I really think that the biggest bang for our buck would be to make sure that the full day kindergarten is implemented, because you will see it down the road year after year. You'll see the increase in the education of the students just from that 1 year foundation.
Thank you. Anybody else want to weigh in? Sorry, you said you had another question.
I do about the addition of an alternative learning teacher at the high school. Can you tell me a little more about it, just justify it for me? I think you said that it may impact 20 students.
That's why Mr. Bain is actually here at this point, so he'll be able to answer that question better than I would. You've got the microphone. Do you want to just go ahead?
Yes, currently our online program for credit recovery is the NovaNet program that we have. And the way we offer it in the school now is we have it available every block, and a teacher is assigned a duty. So those students really work independently without teacher support to recover those classes. And with the boards asking for more opportunities for students, what we decided to do is add this position, which would actually be a certified staff member, where it would be available again, the blocks or however we want to design it, and they'd actually be working with those students individually on, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, Geometry, Bio, whatever they need to get those credit recovery. We're even thinking about with the extended day piece, and in my budget, along with Mr. Kane's budget, there's busing available, I think, extended for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So one of the options we're looking at is bringing this person in later on during the day, say 9 o'clock to 3:30. And so students have that opportunity to work past the school day and actually do that. So that's what that position is.
Thank you, Mr. Bain.
Thank you. As a follow-up, I think Ms. Arnn had asked me last time how many students this might impact. I had thought around 20.
Well, I mean, at a time, if you look at our numbers over the last couple of years of students who've actually recovered credit, we've been averaging in the range of anywhere from 30 to 60 students, but that was with them doing it on their own. I think if they actually get instruction and actually have somebody with them at all times, I think it can move at a faster pace, and they can probably recover that credit a lot quicker and make them available for more credits. So I'm thinking that number's going to go up. But I mean, available at one time, the way the system is now, it's completely online. They can work from home. They can do it online at home. So it's really gotten a lot better than what we've had in the past. We used to have the ports, and they had to do it at school, and now they can actually go home, do it online, and continue the work. And that's another piece where the communication with the staff member would actually communicate with the parents of these kids and say this is what they need to work on. Because right now there's just too many people involved in that process. It's pulling the counselor away, it's pulling an administrator away to really stay on top of those students to get that work done. So if we have a focus of one staff member to actually work with these students, I think we'll see huge gains.
Ms. Bush.
To speak on the concept of another assistant football coach, I'd rather see something like that when we're talking about 43 at this point students on the football team with 5 coaches total. I'd rather see that, something where the kids could go after school and do the NovaNet, than I would adding another football coach. I think that 4 is a reasonable number to supervise 43 students for the football.
Ms. Fisher.
To go along with that, I have our records from 2011-12, and we had 52 students playing football, and we only had 4 coaches. So if we only have 45 now, I don't think 5 coaches is necessary either. I agree.
Talking about coaches still, may I continue?
You still have the floor, yes.
The freshman volleyball coach, are we definitely going to field a freshman team?
I can answer that as well. Our volleyball numbers have always been very strong. We've always been able to field a freshman, junior varsity, and a varsity volleyball program, but there are only two coaches. One of them, obviously, Kim Marinen's the head coach, and she takes on the responsibilities of coaching the freshman games and doing the freshman practices, because you need a certified coach to be with those student athletes. And the junior varsity and the varsity kids practice together. So she actually coaches 2 games every time they have a game. So she'll do the freshman game at 3:15, and then she'll do the varsity game at 5:30. So putting in the requests, and she's the head coach, we want her to obviously focus more with the varsity and the junior varsity and improve at that, and have an assistant coach work specifically with the freshmen.